First seen with a trailer at the Xbox showcase on the 7th of May, Call of the Sea is the new release developed by Out of the Blue Games. Just like the other titles shown back in May, it is available on Game Pass from day one, both on consoles and PC. The game is set in the 1930s South Pacific and follows the story of a woman making her way through an island full of unexpected landscapes and puzzles, all represented by a vibrant and colorful art style, which mixes cartoonish shapes with all the main features of next-gen gaming: a smooth refresh rate, realistic reflections, immersive sunbeams, and deep shadows. After IGN's first 18 minutes of gameplay, I couldn't wait to jump into Call of the Sea, and these are my fresh thoughts, written just after the end credits. This is a spoiler-free commentary, but there will be a section where I discuss crucial elements of the plot of this project. Such section will be preceded by a warning. I'm also showing gameplay from various chapters without spoiling any puzzle. Formalities aside, let's jump on a boat and go find our lover on an island that Bora Bora is probably jealous of. The premise is simple and straightforward. Nora is looking for her husband, missing after an expedition. The charming words of Cissy Jones, who plays the main character, provide little pieces of information, both through spoken word.
My cane. No, I would rather die than use that damned thing again.
And a notebook, which Nora uses to tell her story and to gather clues for different puzzles. From the moment we step foot on the warm sand, the peculiar art style shows off in the form of an oversaturated jungle, with gorgeous mechanics for water and an immersive lighting. Call of the Sea excels at capturing the player's eyes, with each level focusing on a different color scheme, from warm reds to bright blues and dazzling greens, from dark shadows to blinding sunbeams. The Xbox Series X version, while performing perfectly for most of the game, struggled in a particular underwater area, where I noticed a critical frame drop that can probably be fixed through a patch. Speaking about gameplay, the controls are as simple as possible because the focus is on the surroundings and the puzzles. The combination of notebook and observation skills challenge the player's mind into solving what look like simple riddles, which then turn out to be much more complicated and well designed. I'm not ashamed to admit that there's one I still don't understand, and if you've played, you know which one I'm talking about. Without going into details, what I've learned from the beginning is that the level designers of Call of the Sea like to let you think you've found the obvious solution, but then surprise you by letting you know that nope, you're missing a crucial piece of information. It is by no means an impossible game, but it will require patience now and then. So next time you decide to climb that long ladder with the slowest animation the gaming industry has ever seen, think about it twice, and be sure you have all that you need to solve a puzzle. When I say slow, I mean really slow. Probably in line with the rest of the game, which is meant to let the player admire the beauty of it and think at the same time. But still, I almost fell asleep sometimes. Despite the slow pace, Call of the Sea is never boring. The story isn't something you've never seen before, but the storytelling is quite impressive. There's 2 levels of narration in the game. Nora speaks a lot while discovering new areas and gathering new clues, while letters, documents, and evidence provide new knowledge without forcing you to read a long text and interrupt the walkthrough every minute. The narration adapts to how much you want to know, without ever being an obstacle. The protagonist picks up a letter with short and brief sentences which nevertheless deliver emotion and content, but it's up to you to decide if you want to read or just listen to Nora's frequent remarks. Now, to get deeper into the plot and the tools of narration, this is where the spoilers begin. So if you haven't played the game, I suggest you to do so and then come back. So here's 10 seconds of a bag that looks like an animal staring at you for no reason. All good? Perfect. Now, I'd like to point out that Call of the Sea isn't perfect, but it does get really good. The storytelling is developed through so many means: memories, lucid dreams, objects, letters. We never get to meet the side characters, but we feel like we progressively get to know them thanks to the mediums previously mentioned. We get to experience DeWitt going crazy, Frank suffering from his wound, Roy being the first of many to die, the Shannon sailors and the Tahitian inhabitants being scared of the island and what it does to visitors, Cassandra's obsession with the ritual. Where there is a physical absence of other characters, there's a strong metaphysical presence, and that's all the way to the end, where we never get to meet Harry but just learn what happened. The same can be said for the primitive population which inhabited the island. Houses, wall paintings, sacred statues, symbols, riddles. In some way, they are also a side character, a very silent one which only speaks once in a while through the black ooze. There's never a clear explanation of what happened to them, but there are enough pieces of the picture to understand their religion and their way of living. Speaking of what happened, Call of the Sea is first and foremost a love story. Not a very original one from the point of view of the plot, but a good one in terms of psychology. Nora is fighting her illness, Harry is looking for a cure on a mysterious island. In a way, being so far away is what eventually, according to the ending you choose, leads them one to another, especially because of the protagonist's determination to find her other half. Each campsite we encounter while trying to reach the final temple testifies the experience of Nora's husband being lonelier and lonelier, abandoned due to death or fear. Level design once again helps in thickening the plot and adding details about what is going on through the explorers' heads, but also how many tents did they bring? While not being strictly necessary, the division into chapters sets the right pace and gives importance to each solution of a puzzle. I still have no idea how I solved the end of chapter 4. Good thing there was a simple memory game right after which slightly increased my self-esteem. Towards the end of chapter 6, opening the final door feels more like a chore than an actual challenge. In some way, the design of the puzzle tries to give weight to the final revelation without ever mind squeezing the player. Also, there's a certain risk of getting stuck at some levels just because you forget to pick up a paper or look at a drawing. It is quite rare though, because the game always provides what is needed to get to the solution. The absence of a cure for Nora's illness, which is what leads Harry towards the Tahitian island, sets the path for a deeper conversation about time and how it should be spent. Even though it happens right after Nora realizes that she belongs to the island and Harry, driven by love, tricked her into completing the ritual and heal, the final choice is the real climax. The protagonist can either accept her fate and leave Harry or reject it and return home. And it's really up to you to decide, but after such a long journey, there's no way I could decide to leave him. This ending underlines the strength of a relationship built over the years, represented by the house that appears many times during the story. And it's another demonstration of the attention that the level designers put into the aesthetics of the game and the importance of each object. Nora's final decision is up to the player, but Harry represents the ideal counterpart of a romance, first willing to perform himself the ritual and join Nora, then forced by love to go far away from her through his fake death to go to the island, perform the ritual and live without him. The voyage is a way for Nora to discover herself and realize that she's lived more in 2 days on the island than in years of fear for an unknown disease. That's why when the credits start rolling, we finally hear the two lovers sing a song together, referencing Harry's letters where he always calls her "my dear old pal." This is if you choose the ending previously mentioned, and just as they get halfway through the tune, Nora starts feeling sick.
Fine, Harry, don't worry. I can keep going.
No, listen, let's leave it for today. You shouldn't make any unnecessary efforts.
Really, darling, I'm fine.
This underlines Nora's fate, but fate doesn't stop the two lovers from spending each moment they have together right until the end. After a little bit more than 6 hours, the game ends with one of the greatest lines. True love stories don't end with a wedding, they end with a funeral.